皆さん、はじめまして。ボーガエベンと申します。ようこそ、ショーボストン2020年、よろしくお願いします。Let me introduce you to myself. My name is Evan Bourgault. I am a writer for the Electric Sisterhood, the co-founder of their b3crew.com website, and host of the J-pop and alternative music podcast show, No Borders, No Race. I am also a Japanese language student at Showa Boston. Welcome, everybody, to a special presentation by Showa Boston. Normally, during this time of year, Showa Boston hosts an annual open house of sorts to showcase the wonders of Japanese culture, as well as give the Japanese students a chance to shine in various events. However, as you can imagine, an event like this cannot be held due to the current climate of the world. There are unfortunately no Japanese students residing on Showa Boston's campus dorms, nor are there any on-site events being held to promote both the school and the country as a whole. We hope that by next year that we can return to on-site education and fun, but for now, we hope that this online event will suffice and inform you of the great things Showa Boston has done to evolve the learning and cultural process. The theme of this event is something that I think a huge chunk of you out there have been doing a whole lot of in 2020. Whether it's retrying old hobbies or reviving old friendships or reestablishing your life goals, we've all had some form of that we've been doing in 2020. And Showa Boston is no different, as they have been doing their best to rejuvenate passions and renovate one's mindsets. In today's special online presentation, I'll be chatting with teachers and students of Showa Boston, giving those of you with slight curiosity of what you can expect when enrolling in Japanese language classes. We also have a couple of musical performances from two indie acts whose members also participate in Showa Boston activities. But first, before we begin, the president of Showa Boston, Dr. Frank Schwartz, has a few words of his own that he'd like to share with all of you viewers. Dr. Schwartz, please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone for joining us this evening. I hope all of you are well. Back in 1988, more than 30 years ago, Showa Women's University of Tokyo established Showa Boston Institute as its study abroad campus here in the United States. And since then, more than 20,000 Japanese students of various ages have come through here. In addition, though, this campus was always regarded as a bridge between our two countries. So even back in 1988, a Japanese language program was created by Ikumayasu sensei, and it has continued ever since with many hundreds of Americans and people of other nationalities passing through here. Now, there are many ways to learn about Japan, of course. You can study its history, its art, you can read its literature and translation, but of course, there's no window on a foreign culture like learning that culture's language. I know that Japanese is very time-consuming for Americans, just as learning English is very time-consuming for Japanese. And in fact, I tell our Japanese students that language study is the project of a lifetime. So I hope all of you will maintain your dedication to this project in the days to come. Now, when the pandemic hit Boston, I actually expected enrollments in this program to decline precipitously, and that did not happen. Enrollments actually remained stable, and that's testament again to your dedication in this study. I'd like to thank all of our teachers for converting this program to online use. I'd like to thank the Japanese students who have served as conversation partners for all of you. And I would like to commend you for all of the effort that you've put into maintaining your language study. I hope you can continue. So, 皆さん、これからも頑張ってください. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schwartz. Very, very wonderful words from him. Showa Boston is well staffed with many talented and hardworking individuals. One of the most important jobs there is, of course, the language teachers. And today we are being joined by Showa Boston's Japanese language director, Mikio Hattori Sensei, to discuss the work that goes into introducing the English-speaking demographic to the Japanese language. Hattori Sensei, are you ready?
Yes.
So I guess my first question for you is, what inspired you personally to become a language teacher?
Yes, I wanted to contribute the local community by utilizing the language of my homeland, as it helps to fill and expand the cultural melting pot that Boston has.
Terrific. Now, in your honest opinion, what do you feel is the best way to learn the Japanese language?
Ooh, that's a really tough question, Evan. I would say that you would need massive exposure to the Japanese language. Eat, sleep, live, play, read, sing, listen, write, and speak Japanese as often, as long as possible. Remember, mastering Japanese language is a long-term project. So the most important thing, in my opinion, is that you should enjoy learning Japanese language with your own speed.
Now, you talk about enjoying your experience learning. What about, from you personally, your most enjoyable aspect when it comes to teaching Japanese?
Oh, when I see my students achieve their personal goals or reach their milestone, you'll see a lot of examples from tonight's show.
Absolutely. We have some students joining us in a little bit, but I'm curious, when it comes to learning Japanese, like, what do you find to be the most common reason you've heard regarding why people want to learn Japanese?
Yes, I started teaching Japanese about 20 years ago. When that time, Japan was leading economy in the world. So many people from industry just wanted to learn Japanese. But nowadays, like people who are interested in anime or game, or those people are become really, really main driving force of learning Japanese. So I'm really impressed by this new culture. It used to be called as subculture, but nowadays it's become a main culture in Japan.
I mean, it has become like a bit of a gateway for a lot of people. Like, from Japanese animation, they learn about music, and then they learn about maybe stuff regarding the culture, and
Yes,
they become very engulfed with it. It's a beautiful world in Japan.
Yeah, I hope so. Especially like young people, like teenagers, they really enjoy playing Japanese computer games and watching anime. So like even people don't know, where Toyota company is originated. It is in Japan, or where Sony was originated. Those companies are originated from Japan, but nowadays people are knowing more of Nintendo, Sony, those things become very mainstream, and also J-pop has become very important driving force for young people to learn Japanese.
It has absolutely become like the rival of sorts to Hollywood with what the Japanese pop culture has offered, going up against what the Western world of filmmaking and television has done, to the point where we're now starting to see the Western world emulating the stuff that they see in Japan.
Sounds like that, yeah. I really appreciate young people's help and also technology.
Absolutely. Hattori Sensei, always thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. Now with COVID and such, doing in person Japanese and English conversations was, impossible right now. Fortunately, on top of the usual assistance from Showa Tokyo, Showa Boston has had a lot of help from the students and faculty of Nagoya University. To talk about this collaboration is the Associate Professor of Nagoya University's Graduate School of Education and Human Development, Professor Norihito Taniguchi. Taniguchi-sensei, yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
よろしくお願いします。
So, what have you found to be the most rewarding aspect of this partnership?
Yeah, thank you, Evan. The most rewarding this partnership is to get to know each other every week for Japanese students and local American students who are learning Japanese through online. So learning and exchanging ideas across different culture in English is normal. So it's normal. But however, exchanging daily events in Japanese through online is much easier for Japanese students who want to take the first step to intercultural learning, right? And also spreading and Japanese way of thinking is not so it's not so usual right now. Through animation or comics, it's okay, but face-to-face interaction through online is much more important. Okay, yeah. Those kind of intercultural learning in Japanese are most rewarding through this partnership, I believe. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've heard wonderful things about the partnership, wonderful stories about the students participating. How do you feel, or how do you hope to evolve this partnership with Showa Boston in the near future?
Yeah, I would say with us, nothing special. With us student, this partnership does not continue. Okay, we should work hard with students for intercultural learning, and we should focus on students who want to take the first step to learn the another languages, and the continuity and the frequency of intercultural learning is crucial. So I hope all students, including Japanese and American local students in fall semester, move together to the spring semester together, so that both students can don't have to give up. The quest and the curiosity for intercultural learning never end, I think. Thank you.
Hey, doitaishimashite. Those are some great goals, great aspirations, and I look forward to seeing what this partnership will bring to everyone here at Showa Boston, as well as Nagoya University. Taniguchi-sensei, thank you so much for taking part in this. Of course, it is a two-way street when it comes to language classes, as the urge to teach must be met with the urge to learn. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from students from both sides of the Pacific to talk about their experiences, both learning and even participating in English and Japanese conversations. From the Japan side, we have Nagoya University students and Japanese language partners Aikawa-san, Okumura-san, and Kanimitsu-san. And from the American side, we have Luis, Agnes, Tiffany, Benjamin, and Evan. And I know we have a lot of you here today as part of this conversation. I'm going to ask this first from Louis. What was your first experience with the Japanese culture?
Yeah. By the way, Evan, can you hear my mic?
Yes, I can hear you, no problem.
All right, great. So hi, my name is Luis. My first experience with the Japanese culture is anime. When I was growing up, I used to watch a lot of Inuyasha. It's still my favorite. I still binge it on Netflix. But my first biggest experience with Japanese culture was in 8th grade when I went to Boston Latin Academy. We had a Japanese language program, which didn't start until the 9th grade, but the 8th grade we had culture instead of language. And that's kind of what got me into studying the language.
I'm curious, have you been watching Yashahime, the sequel to Inuyasha?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, you got to watch it. It's very good. Tiffany, same question for you. What was your first experience with Japanese culture?
Oh yes, hi everyone. My mom lived in Japan as a child, so she speaks a little Japanese at home. And then when I was in 3rd grade, we hosted a Japanese exchange student.
Very cool. What was your experience like with that exchange student?
Oh, that was so fun. We learned many things. We used to do origami together, of course, and learn short phrases, but also had the opportunity to show her around. We still chat about once a week. She now has her own children, so it was a lifelong relationship, very wonderful. She's part of the family.
That's fantastic. That's a great example of how like one person's culture can help influence another person's from the other side of the world. So I guess my next question, and this one will be going to the other Evan in this presentation. What inspired you to learn Japanese?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. So it kind of started as a child. I was exposed to many of the things other people were exposed to, like anime, manga, and games. I was also interested in kanji and the culture of Japan, as well as the food. It was when I turned into a teenager, I realized that many of the things I liked were created by Japanese people. So I kind of had this desire to connect with Japan. And then as I became an adult, I realized that there was some sort of essence that Japanese could capture and could understand that was a little different than the Western world that I was used to. And many of the things that I liked so much were created by, this Japanese essence. So I realized the only way to really be able to connect with Japanese and to try to figure it out would be to learn the language, because that's the first step. It's the bridge on this journey to connecting truly with the Japanese people.
And Agnes, same question for you. What inspired you to learn Japanese?
Well, I think I've always been inspired by Japanese culture. I'm French originally, and I think France and Japan have had this sort of fascination for each other that you see in paintings and music and food and learning from each other. So that was the initial inspiration, I think. And then I became the department chair for foreign languages at Bourgault High School, and Japanese was one of the languages taught there. So that just pushed me to learn more about it. We have a cherry blossom festival, and then I got opportunity to travel to Japan, and then that was it. It was just love at first sight.
I had the same experience myself too. When 13 years ago, my friend let me stay with his family in Kasukabe in Japan, and it was love at first sight for me too. So I'm itching to go back over there as soon as I can. So my next question for a couple of the Japanese language students here, and I'm going to ask Benjamin first about this. What is your favorite thing about Japanese culture?
That's really hard to say. Oh boy. I don't know. I could maybe say one of the things I like the most is like how welcoming it is to outsiders and strangers. Um, like easily sometimes, I want to practice my Japanese, and I would see someone in Boston who I could kind of tell was from Japan, either maybe by the clothes that they're wearing, or like I actually heard them like speaking a little Japanese, and like, woo. So I would like go up to them and say, "Oh, sumimasen Nihonjin desu ka?" And they're like, "Oh," so amazed, and have a little chat. So it's just something that was kind of like fun, kind of fun and nice for me. So
Very nice. And Tiffany, since you've had a lot of exposure to the Japanese culture, especially with the exchange student that lived with you, I'm curious to know what your favorite thing about Japanese culture is.
Oh, that is a hard question, but I think so I practice law and the area of patent law, and a lot of our clients are Japanese companies. So seeing innovation, talking about invention, science, technology, all those things are very cool. And as a patent attorney, you get to see some of the cool tech that comes out earlier, and a lot of cool things come from Japan. So, and it's cool that it's really everyone appreciates the technologies, so it's fun to talk about. And as Ben said, the clients are so friendly. Yeah.
Very good. Very, very cool. So, Nihon no Gakusei. Um, Here's a question for you for Aikawa. Let's do Aikawa-san first. What is your favorite thing about American culture?
American culture, I think people are so friendly and thinking very, very positive is very good American culture. I taught Japanese to Boston in Boston Showa class. Students speak very friendly, even though it was the first time to meet with me, but very positive. So I was very fun to talk with them. So I think the friendly attitude is very good American culture.
Very nice. Okumura-san, your favorite thing about our culture?
My favorite thing about American culture is that many people are positive and cheerful. So I really enjoy talking to you in this program every week. Thank you.
Hi, doitashimashita. All right, Kanemitsu-san, your favorite thing about American culture?
My favorite thing about America is to accept diversity. There are many people who have various cultures, and I enjoy talking to that people. Yes, so I like to accept diversity is my favorite thing. Thank you.
Hey, doitashimashita. Yes. So, the next question, and I'm going to toss this over to the other Evan first. What has been the biggest challenge when it comes to learning Japanese?
I think one of the biggest challenges is being honest with yourself and being able to identify what is actually slowing you down, what are the barriers, and then challenging yourself to jump right in and go for those experiences, even if they seem too difficult, because it's not until you push yourself beyond where you think you can go that you actually get to where you want to go. So I would say it's all about being honest and identifying your trouble areas and then pushing yourself.
Ben, same question for you. What has been the biggest challenge when it comes to learning Japanese?
So for me, it's definitely trying to find exchange partners, because in my experience of like learning languages and learning many other languages too, is that while you can learn how to read and write the language, learning how to speak it is a whole different story, because there's body language, there's facial expressions, pitch, intonation, and whatnot. And definitely in Boston, there's not as many Japanese people as, like, say, in California or New York City. but you kind of learn how to find them. And so it's like first meeting them and then talking with them. So it's like those first introductions and finding people to speak with. But after that, it gets much easier.
Absolutely. And yes, the kanji part can be tough. I know a lot of friends from Japan who can't read kanji well, and they've been living there their entire life. So I can understand that being a big challenge. Now, my next question, and I'm going to toss this over to Luis first. How has learning Japanese changed your perspective on life?
Japanese, well, so when I was in high school, I was always really fascinated by languages, and I was studying Latin, and I really loved it. Latin ended up being my major in college, and I felt like I had a really good grasp when I took one time a French class. Spanish, I also private tutor in Spanish. I have a good grasp on things that I feel like is familiar to me, that's within my grasp. Learning Japanese was something that was very far out for me in high school. It was a big challenge for me because it's so different. And so learning Japanese for me is my way of showing to myself that I do want to learn, like all humans do. That's what it is to be human. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Anias, same question for you. How has learning Japanese changed your perspective on life?
Well, that's a big question, perspective on life. I think maybe a little bit similar to Lewis. It was like one of the biggest challenges I could set for myself to learn a language that's so different from the pattern that I'm used to speaking. You know, I speak Spanish pretty well. But those are, so I have to have my mind switch around. I think for me, one of the most challenging thing is the order of things. At first, I was just so confused trying to reorganize sentences in my head, but then one of the things I love is that if you just keep at it, eventually things starts to work. And although I'm far from fluent, I love seeing that hard work over time pays off. And it's changed me in that I've made a lot of friendships with Japanese students. Some of them I met through Showa. There's this young woman that I met 3 years ago at Showa, and we still talk once a week. She now lives in Kawasaki, and I live in Boston. So it's really opened up a lot for me.
Now, you have been learning Japanese for more than 3 years, correct, Anias?
That's right, yeah.
So what has been your motivation? What has been your motivation to keep you studying?
Well, first of all, I think I'm pretty stubborn. So once I decide I'm going to do something, I want to stick with it. But what's kept me at it is traveling. I've been to Japan 3 times. I've taken students there, and the relationships I've built that I want to pursue. So that has helped me. Showa Boston has helped me a lot. And I think just an affinity for the culture. I love nature. I think Japanese people love nature. It's like in everything they do, in the cooking, in the painting, in how they change with the seasons. So yeah, I guess. I don't know if it answers your question, but
Yep, no, I think it answered a little bit of that. I know you went a little bit off the off topic slightly, but it was still interesting to hear. Evan, I believe you also have been learning for more than 3 years. What's been your motivation?
So I think it's the perspective of what I'm doing and where I'm getting to, and being truthful about the day-to-day experiences. I think the biggest thing that keeps me motivated is turning every experience into a step towards my dream. And then also looking back and not forgetting all the things that have happened, not just improvements in language, but I've made friends, I'm part of a community, and the ability to speak and to read and to understand Japanese, it really opens doors that you never knew existed before. And so it does kind of change your life. When you look back and you see that, it motivates you to keep moving forward.
Absolutely. We are already a little bit short on time, so we'll have just a couple more questions, but I want to give the opportunity for the Japan side to chat a little bit. So Okumura-san, what has been the most surprising or most enjoyable aspect about teaching your language to these students?
I was surprised that everyone could speak Japanese more than I expected. I'm glad to know everyone likes my culture and studies my language.
Now, I know the three of you are hoping to study abroad in America or some other foreign country. And I'll toss this over to Aikawa-san. What are you looking forward to the most regarding being in a different country?
I want to learn many culture and communicate or share the culture with different cultures is very good for life. To be honest, I don't have dream in my life, but sharing with many culture is good to find out what I want to do or I want to be. So I want to learn them from different culture.
All right. Now, Kanemitsu-san, I know it's kind of a two-way street with people who are here wanting to go to Japan. For those who are planning to hopefully go to Japan once, all this calms down, what sort of advice can you give them that'll help better their overall experience?
I think talk to Japanese more actively. You may think Japanese are shy, so don't like to be spoken to by a foreigner, but there are people who like to be spoken to by you, like me. So talk to Japanese actively. Thank you.
Yeah, Doitai semester. You hear that, Luis? Because you are planning to go start teaching in English. You're planning to teach English in the Miyagi area of Japan, hopefully next month. So what are you hoping to gain from that experience?
Yes, so this is a pretty recent update, but I am going to Shichigahama, which is right outside of Sendai, to teach English in the JET program. I'm very excited, and I'm really looking forward to getting education experience. I do eventually want to be a teacher when I do come back to the States, and I think that the best way for me to learn is to go completely out of my comfort zone, to go to elementary schools, middle schools, high schools in Japan. Like Kanemitsu said, I have a lot of experience with shy Japanese speakers who are learning English, but they appreciate any kind of exposure they get. I don't want to teach people to be fluent English speakers all the way, but I want them to have the courage to step up and to make connections with people that they've never met before in their life.
Sounds good. Just don't Naruto run towards them if you want to talk to them, okay?
I'll try not to.
Students of Japan and America, thank you so much for participating in this conversation. So now, folks, we have a couple of musical performances prepared for you listening pleasure. But they're not just your average Japanese indie bands. They actually have a big connection to Showa Boston, as they are also students in their language program. Now, first up, from the Japan side, we have the band Konoha, showcasing both a live performance and a music video of one of their most recent songs. I've actually shared the video to some of my band friends over in Japan, from artists like Electric Eel Shock and Tsushimamure, and they seem to be very impressed with what these young artists have brought to the table. So I hope that you will be keen on their showcase as well. So, Konoha, please show them what you got.
こういう場所を作ってくれて本当にありがとうございます。コノハです。演奏を破壊します。お願いします。
wonderful music video from Konoha. And right now we are joined by Konoha band member Daiki, who not only is a talented musician, but also helped this past spring and summer to organize some of the Japanese language partners with the American students. So Daiki, welcome to this special presentation. How are you doing today?
Thank you for playing the video. I'm happy to be here.
素晴らしいね. So, what inspired you to want to become a musician?
When I started to play the drums, I didn't imagine that I'm in the band as a drummer. I met at an album, Zenith from Pascal Idol group. It attracted me to play in a band. So I asked my friends to form a band, and they hope so too. So, yes.
Now, were you more inspired by Japanese drummers or Western drummers? Like, were you more about like Yoshiki from X Japan or more like Dave Grohl?
Japanese drummer.
Japanese drumming? Yeah, you guys always do a great job with the drums over there. So, where does the name Konoha originate from?
Actually, the name is from Pokemon.
Really?
Yes. We only want 3 Japanese characters, like Konoha, but we couldn't come up with any ideas. So I searched in Pokemon's moves because I love Pokemon, and I found Konoha. It's just move. So I suggested it, and we decided that name.
Sometimes the best names come from the nerdiest of things. So, very good name there. Now, what is your songwriting process like?
Okay. We first work on arrangement and drums, and then each member adds their part, and guitar part and bass part, and finally we do melody and lyrics at the end.
So we just watched your live performance as well as the music video. That's some great stuff that you've got there so far. What can our viewers expect from Konoha in the near future?
We have some upcoming new songs, and we plan to record them shortly. One of them is in a digest video, the second one. And we would love to share the latest news with all of you. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
So very cool. Daiki-san, thank you so much for joining us here. We're going to just keep this up here just for a couple more seconds in case people want to pull out their phones and scan the code so people can find out more information on Konoha. Great stuff. I'm very much looking forward to hearing what you have in store for listeners in the very, very near future. Right now, we are going to play something from the American side of things. This is a band called Shiori Kubrick, who are using the power of J-pop to hone their Japanese language skills. And right now, we're going to watch a small performance from them. So, Shiori Kubrick, go and wow our viewers.
「 君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなかったって忘れないで。でもこの夏が終わったら君は消えた。言って忘れてたんだけどもう的に戻ってき妄想的に言って衝動的な焦燥的な消極的なままじゃダメだったんだ。きっと人生最後の日お前に思うのだろう。全部言いたりなんて欲しいけどいつか人生最後の日君がいないことをもっともっともっともっとちゃんと言って実は分かってるのもう君が言ったことわからずやって言うんだろうね。忘れたいんだけどもっとちゃんと言ってよ。忘れないよメモにしてよ。明日10時にホームで待ち合わせとかしよう。ボタンは散っても花だ夏が去っても水分は切ない。口に出して声に出して君が言ってそして人生最後の日君が見えるのならきっと人生最後の日もう会おったのだろう。全部無駄じゃなかったって言うからいつか人生最後の日君がいないことがまだ信じられないけどもっともっともっともっともっともっともっと君がもっともっともっともっともっとちゃんと言って窓辺から冷たい風の音が聞こえる。長く忘れていた声は 僕の名前を呼んだ。How's everyone doing tonight? So we are Shiori Kubrick. We're a local J-pop band from Boston that started not too long ago. So I want to take this time to say thank you to Hattori Sensei, Showa Boston, and CDI for inviting us here to perform for you guys tonight. So let's give a big shout out to them. So I know right now it's a very difficult time to come together and be able to enjoy even a live show, but I'm really glad that we can still do a live stream for everyone. And thank you to Evan for doing a great job hosting tonight. I hope you guys also enjoy the band after, Konoha. They have some great stuff. Hope you guys check them out. And so the next song is the first song that we wrote together. It's about doing your best to get over your burdens and enjoying what life can offer. It's called Gyunubin. Hope you guys like it. Thank you. I want to say thank you again to everyone, and that I hope to see everyone in the near future. So our last song for tonight. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's called Kyuto. Be safe, everyone. 手をつなぐと体温が上がって無邪気な笑顔につられて変な口癖真似してみたり寝顔をじっと眺めていたらいつの間にか朝になってたり特別はたまにでいいよ何気ない日常が私にとって大切でそばにいるだけでわかるの心からあなたが好きなんだ素直になれないわがままな私だけどだからねあなたの大きな体でぎゅっと抱き寄せて離さないで柔らかくて優しい声で私の名前を呼んでそれだけで私は幸せだから一つ願いが叶うのならあなたとこれからもずっと隣にいれますようにもしもこの先喧嘩しても価値観がすれ違っても二人で乗り越えていこうね全部ぎゅっとあなたの大きな体でぎゅっと抱きしめて離さないで暖かくて優しい瞳で私だけを見つめていてそれだけで私は幸せだけど今日は私がキュッとさせてね一つだけ伝えたいことがあるのこれからもずっと大好きだよThank you, everyone. Have a good night.
That was a wonderful performance from Shiori Kubrick. And right now, we are actually joined, I think, with every band member of Shiori Kubrick right now.
Thanks for having us. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. So my first question is how you guys first met, how you guys got together, because I know Jackie and Philip are students at Showa Boston. Was that where you guys first met?
No, we went to Bunker Hill Community College, and I was studying engineering my first 2 years, but I switched to music recently, and that's when I met Philip in the jazz band.
Yep, we met in the Bunker Hill Jazz Ensemble. That's the first time he's playing the guitar and I playing the piano. Yeah, that's the first time we met.
Very nice. And was that at that moment when you knew you guys wanted to form a band together?
No, definitely not.
Actually, what happened was we were playing a show. I mean, I was having a show with my friend, and for some reason, Philip invited himself to join us. And that's when we just kept playing together and decided, hey, maybe we can make music together. And later on, I met Moses, who plays guitar at also Bunker. And this is my friend Sunny. He's a drummer. He went to Berkeley, but we've been good friends for a while now. Long time coming.
we worked together before.
Very cool. Now, what is the meaning behind the name Shiori Kubrick? Because I'm getting some Full Metal Jacket vibes when I'm hearing when I see the name Kubrick pop up.
So I really like Stanley Kubrick's movie.
Of course.
2001, Clockwork Orange, all those stuff. I really liked it in high school. And then one day I was listening to music by Aqua Time. I don't know if you know them.
I think I've heard of them. Yeah.
But they had a song named Shiori, and I was thinking, Stanley Kubrick, Shiori Kubrick, maybe it can work.
Very nice. Now, as I mentioned, I love the sound of your music. It's something that I would describe as genreless because it mixes up so many different sounds into one singular melody. Was that what you wanted to achieve from the start of Shiori Kubrick?
So I can answer that for you. It's not necessarily how we aim to be, but it's more like, we don't want to be confined. Obviously we're doing like Japanese rock, but we don't want to be bound by any boundaries, because like you can tell as you introduce us, we are not native Japanese, band. We all from different cultures. Moses is Brazilian, I'm from Hong Kong, and it's the beauty of Japanese rock that touched us. Even though we don't understand the language completely, I made it start doing this. So to us, Japanese rock has no boundaries. So that's how we aim to be when we make our music. We just follow where our heart goes.
Absolutely.
So it's how we feel that drive us to write. We're not trying to follow any rules, and I think that hopefully that shows in our music.
Absolutely. Now, with you doing a lot of your songs, mostly in Japanese and such, I've got to ask, and I feel like this can be answered by all four of you each, and with an answer all of your own. And that question is how you feel music transcends language.
Want to start? Okay. Well, it's close to what I just said, but
right.
I started listening to Japanese music because of anime. That's where I started, and even though I didn't understand what they were saying, obviously, I felt it, perhaps more than the music that I was listening to before. Even though I was listening to Chinese songs and English songs, there's this thing with Japanese music that touched me in a certain different way, and it was a great feeling. I felt like I was understood, and to me, that's what music is about. It truly, can transcend, the language that we speak. Yeah. And it can touch you in ways that maybe language doesn't. And I feel like a lot of people feel the same way, and there's a whole community involved that brings us together. And that's a feeling that, at least for me personally, that's what I'm trying to share to the world. Is being able to belong through music. Even if you're in different cultures, if you speak different languages, music can be the one thing that puts us. So that's how I feel in that regard.
And Moses and Philip, do you guys agree with that as well?
Yeah, for sure. I have a good example of how that transcends. As Sonny said, I'm Brazilian, so I was born here, but I grew up a good chunk in Brazil, and there's a huge Japanese culture there where on live TV, on open TV, they play anime every day. Just like it's a normal on a cartoon show, they will play anime at the end of it. So most of the people that were born in my generation, they grew up listening to anime, and like Sonny said, anime was the only cartoon that had rock music, and had J-rock. And I can attribute that from me being a guitarist and a rock guitarist today to watching those animes as I was a kid. And it's probably the reason why I play guitar and I like, because I used to hear them when I was a kid and when I watched the TV. So yeah, it transcends, and it's just so interesting how the same style can go to different places and just be, they just have their own signature. When I met Jackie, he showed me J rock and J pop, and I instantly fell in love with it. And I like how the rock scene and the pop scene, it's very alive in Japan. And
Absolutely. And Philip, do you agree as well?
Yeah, I think music is more like a emotional expression. So you can find the lyrics. For example, there's a higher pitch, so the vocal may sing louder on that point. So you feel what he feels. He feels angry. He feels happy, or he feels like sad, something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And absolutely. And like one of the things that I personally noticed, and I know we're going to wrap up very shortly, is with the Japanese language, with Japanese rock and music, their language in itself is built up on rhythm.
That's
you know,
right.
it's not just regular, letters like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Their language is literally do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Yep.
And I feel like that's what really helps elevate Japanese music to a greater height than, honestly, most Western music that I listen to on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's true.
And we have a comment in the section here that from a guy named Pat. Shout out to Pat there. I learned a lot of Japanese in endless hours of karaoke and singing along with audio tapes at home. And I feel like a lot of people do that. They emulate the bands, they emulate anime voice acting, that sort of thing. So, and that helps transcend that language to even greater heights as well.
I totally recommend it to practice your Japanese発音 or pronunciation. I think it's very helpful for that. Singing, it's almost like when you're talking, there's a pitch and stuff to it. So if you learn to sing a song, you can also maybe speak more fluidly also. That's what helped me. So.
Absolutely. Now we have up here for our viewers right here, a nice little QR code for people to follow Shiori Kubrick. Where else can people find out more information on Shiori Kubrick?
Right now we're most active on Instagram, so that will be your best bet. But we also we are on Spotify, Apple Music, and what else?
YouTube.
YouTube.
I mean,
our YouTube channel as well. So it's the same handle, right?
Yes. No, that's only for Instagram. YouTube, you have to search Shiori_Kubrick.
Yep, exactly. So Instagram or YouTube.
Awesome. Jackie, Philip, Sunny, Moses, best of luck with the future of Shiori Kubrick. You've got a lot of great stuff that you're working on, and I'm very much looking forward to maybe hearing you guys perform live in person sometime in the near future. Especially when all this stuff is done,
Yeah.
I know I'm not pointing to anything. I'm just using this as a metaphor for what's going on in the world right now. So guys,
thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure. We hope you enjoyed the performance, and we're looking forward to see you guys 2021. Maybe when this is over, we'll be having shows, and we'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Shiori Kubrick, everyone. Thank you once again for listening into them. And right now we are just about to wrap up this special Showa Boston live stream. But before we finish up, we have some final words from Hattori Sensei. So Hattori Sensei, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you everyone for coming and participating in tonight's event. In Japanese, December is also known as Shiwasu, which means teachers learn to express how busy everybody is. So as teachers in Japan, I'm sure, like most of you, your Saturday night in the holidays must have been filled up. So we really appreciate you are taking time to invite us into your homes. Here, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to a group of Japanese language students led by Binnam. Without your incredible hard work and overwhelming efforts, this event could not have taken place. Thank you. I hope we have presented enough of what and how the Showa Boston community has inspired and helped many people to empower their lives. We have technology, a hardworking staff, and friendly students, both in the US and Japan. With these elements, we are ready to work with you. Right now, registration for the spring 2021 is open. Classes will start on January 12, 2021. So please go to our website to see what we offer and when you can join us. We all look forward to seeing you in the classes. Thank you.
Arigatou gozaimasu, Hattori Sensei. Very, very great words there to close off this special presentation. Thank you to everyone who tuned in live or is watching this soon after the broadcast. Please be sure to visit showaboston.org for more information on the Japanese language programs, as well as other opportunities and events that they host. You can find Shiori Kubrick and Konoha on Instagram, Twitter, and other social media sites. And you can find my No Borders, No Race podcast and anime, manga, and gaming reviews at b3crew.com. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at KingBabyDuckESH. Special thank you to the Cultural Exchange Initiative for aiding in the production of Showa Boston 2023. Please be sure to check out their website at ceinitiative.org, as well as follow them on Instagram and Facebook. All of these links can be found in the episode description of this YouTube page. A special shout out to Shinomura-san from Mino, Japan, which is Hattori Sensei's home turf. And hontoni arigatou gozaimasu. And a big, big thank you to Anime Boston chairwoman Kristen Lanning and my Wicked Anime Podcast brother-in-arms John Starr for sitting in on this presentation. Thank you for tuning in. So, until next time, this has been your King Baby Duck Evan Bourgault, wishing everyone a prosperous 2021, both in life and in the realm of Japanese language learning. Yeah. またね。